This is the Glenn Beck Program.
From CPAC in Washington, D.C. Hello, America. It's the Glenn Beck Program. Welcome to the program live from CPAC. I wanted to bring somebody in, and we're having a lot of politicians stop by, and we're rejecting almost all of the politicians that are stopping by, unless we've known them for a long time. A lot of people running for Congress, a lot of good people running for Congress. In the 17th District, I believe. 18th District in Florida. That's right north of Miami on the Atlantic coast.
It's a little further than just north of Miami. This is just north of West Palm Beach. It's the old Allen West seat.
Okay. There's a guy running. His name is Brian Mast, and he is former Special Forces, Afghanistan. I wish this, well, it is television, but you're most likely listening on the radio.
We like to be technically correct in the military. Special Forces very specifically refers to Green Berets. Okay. I was not a Green Beret. I was a bomb technician in Special Operations.
Okay.
So you were close.
And you lost your legs, you were blown up.
2 legs and a finger in Afghanistan. I found one too many bombs. I was a bomb technician,
right.
Found one too many.
So I'm going to start with a question that I usually end with, and I think you can answer this because of what you went through. You're going into battle again. If you win in Congress, you're going to go into battle again, and it's this time you'll lose more than your legs. You'll lose your soul. How's your soul?
My soul is good, but it's good because I'm going to serve something, again, bigger than myself as an individual. You know, I told my wife when I came into this is how I found my way to running for office. I was laying in a bed in Walter Reed, and I said, I can't let the best defense that I give this country, I can't let it be something that's in my past. And I had to find a new battlefield, and I decided that battlefield was going to be Washington, D.C. because of what I learned.
May I suggest that I have talked to a few people, and they said, in the long run, the worst people in Congress and the Senate are former military.
I won't believe it.
Here's why. They said they're used to following orders in the system. What would have me, what has you believe that you will go and you can fight against the system and not follow the orders?
Well, I think that has to have to do to some degree with the people. I know you're friends with Dan Bongino over there, and he's a close friend of mine, too, and he always says this. He says, we can't make golden calves out of the politicians that are out there. You have to hold whoever it is, whether it's a veteran, whether it's your president, whether it's Donald Trump, it doesn't matter who it is. Hold their feet to the fire. Don't make a golden calf out of them. Make sure that you make them stand up for what they said. Now, for me, what can you trust that I'll do? You should only trust me to do what I've already done in my life. And so if you look at that and you say, okay, any soldier's commitment has been this. They serve without regard for gain and without regard for sacrifice. That much you can believe me. That's been my example. Beyond that, hold my feet to the fire for anything else. And if I do the wrong thing, send me packing, just like you should send anybody else packing.
You don't have feet. I can't hold you to I can't hold to the fire.
There you go. Hold my whatever. Hold my whatever to the fire.
Okay. So tell me about your constitutional principles. I mean, we support people who are small government. They know what a progressive is, and they are going in to fight the system.
And that's the most important word. How often do we hear the term used, progressive, from people like Hillary Clinton and others? Obviously, Bernie Sanders, pushing for the welfare state. We need a defined government, a limited role. We need us to live within the means of what we can afford to spend. I think that's the greatest national security threat to us. We've faced terror. We faced the worst terrorist act ever, 9/11, and it didn't bring us to our knees. It stung us, but it didn't bring us to our knees. What's going to bring us to our knees is turning out like Greece or worse, because we have people layering year upon year of unsustainable debt amounting to 20 trillion plus in debt, and that's going to bring us to our knees. And the solution to that is conservative principles.
Let me talk to you about Donald Trump. Last night, and I want to make this really clear. He was not saying, hey, look, you're going into a village and there's some civilians around, but you got to get the bad guys. We're going to lose some civilians. He was specifically talking about revenge. 9/11, after that, the families are all dancing in the streets. He wants to send military in to kill the families of the terrorists. Clearly illegal. Last night he said in 2 separate occasions, I think in a very frightening way, the military will follow me. They will do as I order. That's an illegal order.
And that's two very important things right there. Number one, we don't go onto the battlefield and take a life because of revenge.
Correct.
It's not the purpose of what we're doing. We go out onto that battlefield. We do what we do without regret because we're fighting out of love for our people and not out of hatred for our enemies. And if you ever serve, then you know that. That's what allows us to do what we do. It's not because of the hate inside of us. It's because of the love inside of us. And that's the difference in service between service members in the U.S. military and those who are serving a cause like ISIS. They're serving out of hatred for us, hatred for Israel, hatred for others. We're serving out of love for our people. Now, that was one of the scariest things that could be said. You know, a president, and there's truth in that. What Donald Trump said is true, that the service members will largely, barring a few outliers, will largely do exactly what their commander-in-chief tells them to do. And it's because of that you need somebody with bearing, with restraint, with control over their own mind and their own emotions that are going to make rational decisions.
That's quite a charge to make, because I don't want to believe that they will. But history shows people do.
History shows it. It's a fact.
Don't you have a responsibility to say, as a soldier, that's an illegal order and I won't do it?
You do, absolutely. And every soldier is perfectly aware of that. But you have to, what we're taking it right now is from, a 30,000-foot look at this and saying, okay, what we're doing in the broad scope of this is largely illegal. You don't necessarily... You're not always aware of that on the ground when it's 5 feet in front of you. You're just aware of what you were tasked to do, and you're putting that mission into action. And part of that mission, putting that into action, is supporting the men and women to your left and right. So all of a sudden, you're a part of a system that's in motion that if you fail to do your piece of it, you're failing those others that are around you. And it becomes this perpetuated cycle that can allow you to get into a situation that you don't want to be in.
This is how mass graves happen.
You could say that.
If Donald Trump is the nominee, could you vote for him?
I'm going to say that I can. I'm going to say that still at this point in my life, I'm not part of the movement that's Trump never. That's not part of my movement. I'm still going to support him because, as I mentioned, to some degree, I look at the largest national security threat being our state of environmental affairs. And so in that, I believe he's more... If we can say that and not be too inappropriate, more conservative than Hillary Clinton. So in that, it's still a vote for Trump for me. But if that's the case, we'll see if Ted moves on. We'll see, how it goes.
Okay, so tell me about why people should vote for you in Florida.
I think people should vote for me because they know, ideologically speaking, that I only know one way to serve. And I'll share it in a brief story this way. To date in our theaters of war, I've lost 67 close friends. 67. Not one of those friends left this world because they were doing what was best for themselves or because they thought they were going to be rich or famous or garner some award or anything else. They did what they did because they knew they were doing what was best for their brothers to their left and right, and they knew they were doing what was best for our country. It's the only way I know how to serve. It's the only way I'll do it. I'm not going to dishonor the memories of every one of those individuals, every one of those heroes laid to rest across the river in row upon row in Arlington National Cemetery. I won't do it. There's no greater charge in my life.
Brian Mast is running again for the 18th District,
18th Congressional District.
in Florida. It is Alan West's seat, replacing one hero.